Hello and welcome to the video. This is another mixed media do-it-yourself project making faux miniature bonsai trees using the supplies and materials as shown and listed below, including floral wire, floral tape, artificial snow, foam or textured yarn, and thread. Recycled computer keyboard keycap pieces are used as the planter that works for 1/12 scale. Of course, you could use bottle caps or make a rectangular shape planter piece. Other materials used include craft sand and used dried tea bits, plus yarn and landscaping greenery. The trees measure approximately 1 1/2 by 3/4 inch, depending on the key size and the tree types as shown in the video. The types of trees that I make are oak, pine, willow, and azalea. The trees without the key planter would also work in 1 1/44 scale landscapes. My inspiration included a faux bonsai decoration, which I might end up redoing. It's about 8 by 7 inches. And then I also had some bonsai 2011 postage stamps. I am using recycled computer keyboard keycaps that vary in profile and size from about 1/2 by 1/2 to 1/4 inch in height. Other planter ideas could be plastic bottle caps, wood pieces, or make it from cardstock. To prepare the key caps, I want to remove that inside clip piece. So I take my wire cutters and I just gently twist the plastic that's inside and I pull out little pieces. And I just want to remove enough so that it keeps it slightly below the height of the cap. You could also use your pliers to do this. While the keycaps are pretty strong, just be careful not to get your pliers on the outside edges of the keycaps because it might put a few dings in it, which I did do. I think it'll still work okay though. Now you could use acrylic paint or spray paint to change the color of the keycaps. I think I'm going to go ahead and just leave them just as they are. Next, I'm going to add filler to the inside of the keycaps. And then I'll put craft sand and used dried tea bits on the top of the filler. On the left, in the cream color keycap, I used a piece of air clay. For the rest of the keycaps, I use a mixture of glue and micro foam balls. And I mix them together, press them in, trying to keep it a little bit below the top edge of the keycap. Each of these keycaps are a little bit different. They're not just like straight across on the top. They kind of have a little bit of a slope. Some of them do, depending where they sit on the keyboard, or kind of an angle. And then on the other side, where the finger presses down on the key cap, there has kind of like a concave shape. And that's why I really liked using the keycaps, because they kind of give that little arch to the base. After the fillers were dry, and this is an optional step, I went ahead and painted them in a similar color to what color I'm going to put for the topsoil or sand. When the acrylic paint dried, I took a toothpick and glue and spread it across the top of the filler. I did it in little pieces or little bits at a time, like 1/3, and I just applied the glue, spreading it with the toothpick, and then I applied the craft sand on these 2 pieces. After I sprinkle on the sand, then I press it into the glue and then just remove any extra sand that gets on the outside edge or the lip of the keycap planter. I do the same process for the other keycaps. Apply the glue to the top of the filler, and then in this case I'm using used dried tea bits for the soil. I spread it on, press it down, remove any excess, and try to make sure there's anything removed from the little lip edges. Then I set the little keycaps aside to dry. To make the bonsai tree base and branches, I select 4 to 5 pieces of wrapped floral wire in various sizes, from 24, 26, or 28 gauge. I'm going to cut them in about 1.25 inches in length using the wire cutters. Then I'll place the pieces together, the 4 or 5 pieces that will form the base. I'll gather them up and I'll take a little piece of floral wire The wire colors and the floral wire will be painted once everything is assembled, so it doesn't matter what color that you actually use. So just gently stretch and pull the floral wire and twist it around 1/2 of the wires, and then kind of roll it around to make sure it's secure. And then you can take the top pieces of wire and spread them out to make little branch-like shapes. And just kind of bend them out so they're like in a half U shape and a curved shape. And you can kind of be thinking what kind of tree that you're going to want to make the shape. And if you think you need to add some more branches, you can cut some more bits of the wire and then glue them on top and shape them into branch shapes. I'm also going to try to make a willow tree or a weeping type of a tree, and I take the top of the branches and then I bend them down. Then I take regular sewing thread pieces and I glue those to the wires, adding about 15 to 20 pieces arranged around the little tree. Next, I use acrylic paint to paint the branches and the base of the tree. I use browns and tans, and when that dries, then I put a little bit of gray around the outside edges. The tree bases are now ready to be placed into the keycaps. First, I take a small end of a ball stylus and make a hole through the soil or the sand and into the filler, and just gently kind of whirl it around with the small side of the ball stylus. And then I flip it over and make a little bit larger hole so that it will fit my trunk. Once I decide what trunks that I like into one of the keycaps or each of the keycaps, you can go ahead and glue it. But it stays pretty firm as it is, and then you can reshape the branches if needed. And then I have some smaller pieces of wire up front here, or underneath my hand, that I'm going to make some roots that stand out. But first I want you to see that I took a tree out of one of the keycaps, and there's my 1 1/44 scale house, my work in progress back there. And so these trees will work for that scale if you need to make some trees for that landscaping. Just put it on a different base than the little keycap. Some of the bonsai trees have roots that come out of the base of the trunk onto the soil or onto the sand, so I've cut little pieces and then I kind of shape it a little bit and then glue it in place. Using the jewelry, I think it's a needle nose pliers helps, and tweezers to get the little shapes for the roots. There are all kinds of things or materials that you can use for the leaf bits on top of the branches. There's foam, there's little colored bits that could be artificial snow. You could use yarn. In this process, I'm going to start with, this is going to be the azalea tree, and it kind of looks like a cherry tree, but I'm taking some of this craft foam and making it into little pieces or pulling it apart, and it pulls apart real easy. And then I'm going to go ahead and put little glue drops onto the branches and then place the little green foam bits on. So I'm using the foam pieces as a base before I put on the pink and the white pieces. I start out by going around the tree on the tops of the branches, adding the glue, and then placing a foam piece. I do go underneath too. I'll put some glue dots underneath. I'm just taking my time and I go around and I turn it around, just seeing if there's any empty spaces that I want to put a clump of foam, and if there's any bare spots. And you don't have to add the pink and the white bits. You could just use a foam tree as a bonsai tree. I give the foam bits a little bit of time to dry, and then I'm going to add the pink and white pieces to make it look like an azalea tree. And I just take little bits of the pink and white and sprinkle onto the glue dots, and I do a section at a time and then press it into the foam, and that way I can see where I need to add some more bits. I go all around the tree branches, and then underneath I apply glue dots and more of the pink and white. For the weeping willow tree, I'm going to use the same process of making little glue dots on the branches and then sprinkling little bits of greenery, pressing it down and then moving around to the different branches. There are some other options I could have used instead of the little green bits and the brown string. I could have used green string for the branches, and then I had a little piece of like a silk branch. You can see it kind of in the back there. It was just a little bit shiny, so that's why I didn't use it. But there are all kinds of options that you could use for the different types of leaves and branches. You could also add little flowers to this cascading weeping willow type tree. You could make it like a wisteria, a weeping cherry, a weeping maple. For the last two trees, I'm going to use yarn. It's kind of a textured yarn. This one kind of has some loops in it, and I'm cutting little pieces, similar to like when I used the landscaping foam there. Just repeating the process of adding glue dots to the branches, then pieces of the yarn, and then I press it on to the shape of the branch and just kind of move around doing each branch and going underneath. And since it's yarn, there's going to be little fuzzies or little fibers, and just take your scissors and just kind of trim it up a bit. I kind of did it as I went, but you could also wait till you get all the little pieces of the yarn on and then go around and trim all the little fuzzy pieces off. I'm trying to make this look like a little oak tree, a little oak bonsai tree, but it could be a maple. And I go around all the different branches, and then once I get the top and the sides pretty well, I do go underneath the branches and add some more yarn. The next yarn piece I have has little pieces to it. It looks like it's been woven around a piece of string, and so I pull it off. And when I look at it, it kind of reminds me of the evergreen pieces. So I take little pieces, and then I'm going to use that to glue on to the tree branches, just like I did with the foam bits and with the other kind of yarn. And like the yarn from the little oak tree, this yarn also has the little fuzzies that you'll need to trim off. And I try to do that as I'm going along, just clipping those little fibers. And then I glue pieces from underneath the branches as well, and then I keep trimming those little fuzzies. And I could always add more branches, trim some more, adjust the wires. Sometime in the future, I wouldn't mind making a cascading crimson colored maple tree. Which bonsai tree is your favorite? You could use these mini bonsai trees in a miniature diorama, patio gardens, porches, plant nurseries, botanical gardens, sunrooms, inside the dollhouse, offices, or shops. I hope you like this video and are inspired to make a mini bonsai tree from recycled keycaps. Thank you so much for watching and sharing.